Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today. Today we're going to be talking about protecting your website and web applications from DDoS and data breach attacks. My name is Ronan Lavelle, and I am a member of the LeaseWeb Application Security Group. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start today's webinar. Today's webinar is being recorded, and a link to the recording and the slides from today's webinar will be sent to you within 24 hours of today's webinar. Your audio lines are on silent today, so if you have any questions, and we do very much welcome your questions, we will answer them at the end of the webinar, but you can type your questions in the question dialog box, which you will find hopefully on the right-hand side of your screen in the GoToWebinar console. Excellent. So, having a quick look at today's agenda, we're going to talk about the current cyber threats that are out there and the trends in the marketplace, specifically targeting your websites and your high-value web applications. We're going to look at the market outlook, and we're very excited also today to announce and to launch a really amazing new web application security product from LeaseWeb. And today you're going to have the first insight into that solution. So we're super excited. We hope you will too. I'm going to talk a little bit about how that commercially looks like, and then we'll take your questions and your answers at the end. So just to remind you, if you do have any questions, you can type those questions in the dialog box, and we will pick those up. So what we're going to talk today about is cyber threats to your websites and high-value web applications. And when I say web applications, I mean your customer portals, your collaborative sites, but also increasingly applications that you use in your businesses that are used through web interfaces that cyber criminals would love to target, and either target to get at your data for data breach type attacks, or indeed try and target to take those sites offline. I'll talk a little bit about a major attack in the United Kingdom that just occurred over the weekend in a few slides' time. So some cybersecurity by numbers. So attacks on web applications now constitute the single largest form of attack, cyber attack, out there, out of the whole range of information security. Attacks on your websites and web applications with DDoS and data breach attacks are now the single biggest source of cyber risk and threat to your business. There's also a very frightening story, which is that almost a quarter of all disruptive DDoS attacks that try and take websites and web applications offline by blasting them with server-based requests now include some kind of attempt to exploit a vulnerability or indeed to steal your data. And the attack that I'll talk about in a second from TalkTalk in the UK was exactly that type of attack. The company first announced a DDoS attack and then announced that in fact their data was at risk and had been stolen as well. The frightening thing also is that DDoS attacks are not going away. In fact, in the first 6 months of 2015, DDoS attacks have increased by 50%. So a little bit to show this data in another way, from our friends at Kaspersky, they found that about 74% of companies who suffered a DDoS attack faced additional security incidents, and increasingly those included things like data leakage and data breach type attacks. So very, very serious and a starkly new development in this world as well. Here's some information and some data from our friends at Arbor Networks, who are a major provider of...
62 people.
Hi, sorry, you censored the audio. Okay, so the data here from Arbor Networks shows, in fact, that DDoS attacks have doubled in their intensity in 2015, but these attacks tend to be short bursts of attacks. So, 30-minute, 15-minute, 1-hour type attacks, but there's been a huge increase in what they call layer 7 application level DDoS attacks that try and divert an IT team and an IT security team away from the ball, if you like, by disrupting the availability of a website while they're quietly trying to steal or to exploit vulnerabilities in your data and your source code. So these kind of things are seriously expensive to fix. So per attack, it costs a small and medium-sized business about 40 to 45,000 euros per DDoS attack to remedy. And if you're a larger organization, it can get into the hundreds of thousands of euros. And this is because it's not just turning a website off and then turning it back on again in a couple of days' time, which is a remedy for some companies, but really not an option for many. It's the fact that when you get hit by a DDoS attack, it seriously impacts things like your company's share price. So this is the share price of a company called Talk Telecom, who in the UK on Friday, just last week, were hit by a huge attack where they were hit by a DDoS attack first, and then the CEO went on the BBC News live broadcast to say that 4 million of their customers' data had been stolen and had been compromised. So this is all very, very serious stuff that hits things like your share price, your valuation, your risk profile, your insurance policies, but also having to bring in consultants and PR people, and it really all adds up to the cost, as well as putting in solutions like LeaseWeb solution we're going to talk about today as well. The other side to this is about data, and if you if your website or your web applications contain this kind of data that you have on the screen, either credit card or financially sensitive information, or personally identifiable data and information, or indeed usernames and passwords to log in with credentials into your systems. These are all things that have values on the dark web, if you like, for cyber criminals. And you know, there's the current market rate on the dark web for a credit card number is about $5. It's about $1 for a social security number. In fact, when we talk about cyber criminals, it's just interesting to point out that this morning the UK press arrested a 15-year-old kid in Antrim in the north of Ireland who was arrested in connection with the data theft from this company here, Talk. So they're not your typical criminals. These are literally kids in bedrooms who are out there to prove points with their friends. But nonetheless, they have very serious consequences, and it remains to be seen whether even the CEO of this company remains in place by the end of this week. I personally actually got an email from their Chief Information Security Officer over the weekend to say that he is no longer with the business. So these are all the fallout of these kind of attacks, very, very serious. Then, of course, there are many people on today's call who do take financial transactions through your websites, and you either are solely dependent on your web application to make revenue for your business, or it is part of your business, and therefore you might need to be PCI compliant. These are all of the key things that I'm going to talk about today that will aim to help achieve, in part, some of that PCI compliance, particularly Section 6.6, where we're looking at things like web application firewalls. So why are we talking about this? Well, ultimately because LeaseWeb are launching a global initiative around trust and security, and as part of that, today we are launching a brand new LeaseWeb technology service called LeaseWeb Application Security Services. And this is a web application security platform. It's a cloud-based platform. We're super excited with it, by it, and we hope that you will be too. And in a nutshell, it provides all of the key technical solutions that you need to deploy in one single platform for a single monthly subscription to prevent data breaches on your websites and DDoS attacks that maybe take those websites offline and unavailable. So the LeaseWeb Application Security Platform provides what we call a next-generation web application firewall. It provides up to 600 gigabits per second of DDoS protection. No questions asked, no penalties for multiple DDoS attacks, and we also complement the existing LeaseWeb CDN solution with things like dynamic content caching. So your websites and web applications will not only perform faster, they will also be super protected as well. How do we do this? Well, we're actually deploying a series of points of presence all over the world, and it is at these POPs, or these points of presence, at the edge of the network, where we are preventing and blocking malicious botnet type attacks on your sites. And that's very important because it tends to be a long way away, a long distance between our POP and your data centers, and indeed LeaseWeb's hosting data centers, which ultimately means that your web application should largely be unaffected even when you're under attack. So what I'm going to do very quickly, I'm going to show you a whole lot of slides in today's presentation, but today I'm going to really quickly show you some live visualizations of what this is, and I'm going to give you a really quick whistle-stop tour of the LeaseWeb control panel that we're going to provide all of our customers. And what we're looking at here is the front dashboard that shows us how this site is currently performing. We can actually manage a number of different web applications and websites in the system, and each of those web applications can have their own custom security postures as well. So what we're saying here is that you do not need to have one rule set, if you like, or one set of rules for all of your different sites. So here we can instantly see how our traffic is performing, whether any of that traffic is DDoS-based traffic or web application firewall. We can look at IP addresses by IP address or by country. We can do things like whitelisting and blacklisting and rate, the IP rate limit, inbound IP requests, for instance. And we can monitor and change things like caching requests. So we've got some dashboards around how we can optimize the performance of the application, but we've also got some world-class security solutions in here as well, and feature sets. What we're looking at here is a dashboard to do with the web application firewall, and this is showing us which web application firewall rules are generating the most number of alerts and blocks, and ultimately we want to have this as much red as possible, which would be a block, and we can train you, but we can also support you on an ongoing basis to manage all of this. And let me just quickly fly into some of these. Each rule set, so we have a huge rule set, about 246 records, it says at the bottom. Those rules can be customized very quickly by simply clicking on the buttons here. 24-hour onboarding process with about a 3-day tailoring process with 0 code. So what we're providing you with here is essentially top of the market tailoring and customizing of your security posture for web application firewalls, but at a very, very attractive price point. These can all be metadata tagged too, by the way. So if you're an e-commerce company and you are concerned with things like PCI compliance and also with things like cross-site scripting attacks, these are all things I'm sure you're keep you up at night maybe. Here you can see all of the different rule sets and the posture that has been set to either block off vulnerabilities that may be exploited or to set alerts, but also if there are certain rules that are not relevant, they can also be turned off in order to reduce false positives and increase the performance of your application. We also provide full log files. I won't go into these too much detail today, but all these log files can be interrogated within this environment here. And we have simple, plain English, like this has been a block. It's been blocked because it's a status code information leakage, which means that somebody's trying to steal our data here. And thank God our web application firewall here has prevented this data leakage attack attempt, actually. So these are live attack attempts, by the way, on this site. This data can also be exported to SIEM solutions like HP ArcSight or Splunk or any of these other similar solutions as well. We also provide very comprehensive multi-layer bot detection challenges for layer 7 or application level DDoS attacks. So we have JavaScript challenges. We've got a whole load of things, these clever things about changing the response code back to the attacker so it looks like there's nothing of interest, like service unavailable, for instance, move on to the next site, all this kind of stuff. We can also do IP rate limiting. And I'm going very fast through this, by the way, because of the time today, but we're more than happy to dig deeper with each of you on a one-on-one call if you want to do that too. So we can IP rate limit inbound requests, and ultimately, if we're still not happy that traffic is a botnet or a human, and we want to let human traffic in but block botnets, we can replace the screen that the end user is looking at with a splash screen like this, which you can customize in any language, and everything here is entirely editable, even the text on the buttons. This is simply a captcha, and if the user can fill out the captcha, then we let them through. Okay, so it's a really quick whistle-stop tour of the LeaseWeb control panel, basically providing you with best-in-class, and hopefully you will agree it's best-in-class web application security and protection, but in a really usable interface that is designed for non-cybersecurity specialists. You can be a normal IT administrator. In some organizations, it's people like the e-commerce team that would be the managers and administrators of that system as well. So, as I said, we're going to send you a copy of today's presentation. There are some screenshots of what I've just shown you in here. There are some big differences, by the way, to some solutions that you may have already been using around things like web application firewall or DDoS protection. We're not saying you're protected with 1 gigabit of DDoS protection. We're saying we're going to protect you up to 600 gigabits per second of attack traffic, and you can completely demand and expect to have a tailored posture for your own security that not only protects your site and your sites, but also enhances and maximizes the performance of your web application. So I've just been showing you a product that we call the enterprise version, and we're currently saying that it actually depends on your network clean traffic figures actually, but on average it's probably around 3,000 euros a month, and it's aimed at mid-sized and large enterprise accounts. We're also launching very shortly a solution called the LeaseWeb Pro Edition, which will provide no less security, same level of protection, but a much more simplified environment where we have a more compact set of web application firewall rule sets, and we're going to provide you with 5 gigs of DDoS protection. And we're going to be providing that to you at about 200 euros a month. So these are market-leading solutions at, we think, very, very competitive price points. And we'd be very happy to talk to you further about how these kind of technologies from LeaseWeb can help to protect your sites. So these are available immediately. Certainly the Enterprise Edition is right now, and the Pro Edition in the next 2 or 3 weeks. That's already been released to beta test sites already, so we're very confident we'll be able to provide that to you in a very short time period. So quick summary, next generation firewall, 600 gigabits of DDoS protection with dynamic content acceleration, all in a single platform, single monthly subscription, and it's all available. Please talk to your LeaseWeb relationship and account manager, or indeed anyone in the LeaseWeb team. You can also find out more about this on leaseweb.com, and if you look under the product section under application security, you can find out all about this solution as well there. So we're very happy if you go there, very happy if you do call our sales teams. We can arrange web conferences and demonstrations of this, but also pilots and proof of concepts if you get to that stage and you want to look at this technology in your own company's context as well. Right, so we have about, actually despite our little gremlins at the beginning of the call, we have some good time available to answer some questions. And just to completely test my linguistic skills, Salomon, I'm going to answer a question that's been written in French here. Okay. Okay, so I think the question there was essentially a LeaseWeb customer, but is potentially interested in further selling this solution to this person's own customer base that uses the LeaseWeb infrastructure. To that question, Salomon, I would say to contact Julien Lehmann, whose email is on the screen. Et en français, je vous prie de contacter Julien Lehmann de LeaseWeb pour ce sujet-là even. Okay, super. I'm going to take some other questions. I have a lot of questions in my dialog box here, so just trying to get through the I can't see your slide ones. Okay, so on what technology is the WAF built? It is built on a core of mod security, but it's a LeaseWeb core developed technology. It's proprietary to LeaseWeb, and we hope that you will love it. Is the quick answer to that question. If you want to dig deeper, I'm sure we can do that on a one-to-one call. If we use SSL, do you need our private SSL certificate to filter the traffic with the WAF? That is a super good question. The quick answer to that question is yes, you do, and quite similar to other cloud-based DDoS and cloud-based web application firewall solutions, there is a secure process for you to upload and transfer your SSL certs to the LeaseWeb control panel portal, is the quick answer for that. Do you provide IP reputation filtering? Yes, we do, to a certain degree. And I only scratched the surface of some of the functionality in this. We also have the ability to import things like threat intelligence feeds from external parties, but also from the network that this sits on as well. And if some of our clients in the enterprise space have their own threat intelligence feeds that they subscribe to through API integrations, we can integrate those as well. The customization on a per alert basis is great. With Cloudflare, you cannot do this. Well, I didn't ask Adam to say that, but thank you very much, Adam. Absolutely, Cloudflare can't do that. And Capstella can't really do that either, which is why we're so super excited with the solution. We are providing a very custom posture for each of your web applications, not just for your company, by the way, but a .com site might have a different risk posture to a supplier portal, for instance, if you have those. So it is it's changing the game, if you like, of providing custom security at a great price and delivered through a global cloud-based platform. Is the LeaseWeb WAF PCI DSS compliant? Good question. It's not so much our WAF that is PCI compliant, but more the fact that you can use the WAF to enable you to gain PCI DSS section 6.6 compliance, which is essentially the section relating to the use of web application firewall technologies in order to avert having to audit your entire team and test them on a regular basis. So it's completely, we have many, many customers who are PCI compliant, and one of the reasons is because they're using this web application firewall. So I hope that's the right way of answering that question. Okay, there are still lots of questions. So if we can't answer all of your questions today, we will try and get written responses to you and send them out by email afterwards. Is there an API to avoid controlling the WAF? There is, but I think that requires a deeper conversation with the LeaseWeb technical team, is the quick answer to that. Can you provide a little bit more detail around the acceleration and caching? Is it similar to Varnish Proxy? I'm personally not familiar with Varnish Proxy, but LeaseWeb have, if you don't already know, a very excellent CDN and global caching network solution. The content caching that you saw in the solution today enhances that, and in particular, if your sites include things like dynamic content, it has some very advanced features for marking out, if you like, areas of websites like shopping carts or database pull-ups that may slow down the delivery of the total page, and therefore you might lose your visitors if the page load times get too large. So we have the ability to single out that content that's dynamically generated, deliver all the other content, and then allow the dynamic content to be uploaded. Well, we see an update to the existing CDN control panel. That is, I guess, a question that the CDN product team with Julien, I'm sure, will be able to answer in time. But at the moment, we don't foresee that as an outcome at this point in time.
Yeah, hi guys, this is Julien speaking. So yeah, there will not be a change in the current CDN portal. The security service is launched as a separate and standalone service. So there will be two portals, one for CDN and one for the security services.
These are great questions, by the way, and keep them coming because they're really fantastic. Next question. So are the prices that you quoted for accounts, domains, company, ... question mark. Okay, so there are some terms and conditions that we will need to go through with you, but ultimately we have very, very open and transparent pricing policies. So on the enterprise product, the 3,000 euro estimate there, it's actually based on what we call the 95th percentile of your clean traffic going through the application or the applications, so website or web applications that we're looking to protect. So if that's 20 megabits per second per month, or 50 or 100, that is actually what our price point is based on. And on average, most LeaseWeb customers are probably in the area where it's around 3,000 euros. But it could be a little bit lower or a little bit higher, depending on the amount of traffic that your sites, your clean traffic your sites generate. And by the way, adding any new sites does not incur any significant extra penalties, cost penalties. You can add as many sites as you like. It's just, I think, if you add a second website or a second web application, if you're, say, on a 50 megabit per second plan per month, and adding a second website kicks the traffic up to, say, 60, then we probably will have a conversation with you about going to a different monthly plan. I'm actually reading these for the first time, so apologies if there's any issues here, but we deliver SaaS-based web applications, currently have 13,000 instances of our application and websites online, which would require protection. Is this possible with one subscription, or do we need one subscription for each application? Jeroen, I'll be very happy to inform you. You can protect all 1,300 sites with one subscription, and the explanation from the question I've just answered is actually how we do that. So each of your sites, if necessary, can have a custom security posture. If each of your 1,300 sites are the same, so if they're just I don't know, different domains of the same content, then you can template the web application firewall rule set and create one posture and then roll that out to multiple other sites. But equally, you can also, we've just recently signed up a major customer in Germany where we're about to embark on a 7,500 domain deployment of this, and that will go up to about 25,000 domains. So short answer, Jeroen, is absolutely yes, one subscription, handle all of your sites. But please do call Julien and we'll have a further discussion about that. Ding, 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 ding. Will this also be available for normal web hosting accounts or only for dedicated servers and resellers? Julien, do you want to take that question?
Yes. Of course, no, the service is available for everyone. Not even for, you don't need to have a dedicated server or a web hosting service within LeaseWeb. You can actually by the security service standalone, independently whether you are hosted or not within these web facilities. So it's really a way for you to experience this web service without having to move your infrastructure inside this web data center just yet. You can do it in a second step. But the security service is accessible for everyone, in whether or not you are hosted within these web facilities.
Super. I hope everybody's okay with us continuing to answer these questions, because they're great questions, but we'll probably give it about another 2 or 3 more minutes, if that's okay. So is your SOC, or Security Operations Center, primarily for Q&A support, or are they also there to provide a managed SOC service? It's a super good question, because it's the latter. So with your €3,000 subscription, your estimated €3,000 subscription, it actually comes with a full 24/7 SOC-based technical support. So email and telephone to LeaseWeb, and our team of technical specialists are here to help you to onboard new web applications. They're here in your hour of need when you're under attack, either a data breach attack or a DDoS attack, but they're also there to answer any other questions, like LeaseWeb on occasion, because we're a cloud-based platform, will publish new web application firewall rules to our overall rule set. Many of our customers call us and say, if we activate this rule, what would be the impact on our performance or on the other rules that may be linked to this rule? So the quick answer to it is we're charging you, so we're providing you with a global premier support, technical support function at no extra cost. It's totally unmatched in the marketplace. It's certainly not provided by our friends at Cloudflare and Encapsula, and it's absolutely not really provided at no cost by higher-end enterprise vendors either. So we're very proud of that too. However, there is another question about the Pro version. I do want to be very specific that we're not providing 24/7 support with no extra cost for €200 a month. So I have to say that for the Pro edition, it will be email-based support only, and it is for one site only. So the enterprise product, you can add as many domains and websites as you wish and web applications. The Pro edition will be for one site only, okay? But still, it's a very great price for one site only as well. Augusti, there's a question, I don't know the answer to your question, so I'm going to get a written answer to that. It's to do with APIs for WAF control and so on. I think we can maybe take one more question. I'm just going through the whole of these, so I've answered some of these already.
Take your time, Ronan. You can answer more. Let's take 5 more minutes. There is one question about disabling the CDN and only use the WAF, which is a very interesting, concept, and it's absolutely possible. You know, CDN is sold as a standalone service apart from the security service, so you can actually disable caching and not use the CDN for your data. So the question from Stefan.
Yeah, are you answering that question, Julien, or do you want me to?
No, go Ronan. Let's do this together. I think these questions are very interesting, actually, for everyone.
The ultimate answer is we want you to be protected and your web applications' performance to be enhanced. So, if you want to combine this with LeaseWeb CDN and web application security, perfect scenario. But if this helps you to deploy CDN as well, that's a great outcome too.
There is one question as well. You know, is it based on IP or domain-based protection? So this service, as we described it, is based on domain-based. Yeah. So it's a delegation of domain to our platform, so that the traffic can be inspected. The IP protection service is something we are working on, and we are hoping to be able to launch an IP protection service later on in the coming months.
I do have some.
Yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
I do have some late questions, but they're quite good questions. I mentioned that we license this based on what we call the 95th percentile of clean traffic. The question here is, how do we estimate the amount of clean traffic? We suffer badly from bots, scrapers, leechers, and I'd struggle to get a good idea on that data. I think, Samuel, in that situation, we will probably work with you to estimate your traffic. One of the things that I'll very quickly show you is that, if I can, we provide full transparency for you. So we tell you exactly how much traffic, clean traffic, you're using on a monthly basis. So the first month might be a little bit unknown, but after that we will set the correct web application security posture to block out all of the botnet traffic and any scraping kind of traffic, and then you'll have a very clear idea from the next month onwards is the quick answer to that. Another question. The Enterprise Edition has unlimited DDoS protection at 600 megabits. It's actually 600 gigabits per second, by the way, not megabits. The other solution has 5 gigabits of protection. How does LeaseWeb act in the case of a DDoS attack? Will there be a null root of the IP address once a DDoS has reached 5 gigs? So it's a really good point, and a point that I want to make. So if you're familiar with other solutions in the marketplace, like Encapsula, for instance. Encapsula is part of a company, a wider company called Imperva. If you max out on, say, the Encapsula platform, then you're either null routed or you have to pay more money. But it's not a question of simply upgrading, if you like, to the major enterprise version. With the LeaseWeb Pro Edition, if you get hit by an attack larger than 5 gigs, and everybody agrees that you should be switched over to the Enterprise Edition, it's the same code base as the Enterprise product. So it's not two separate products. It's actually a sub-product of the wider framework. So it means a Pro account to the Enterprise account is about a 5 to 10 minute process. A very, very quick and very technically easy process is the quick answer. And we have a policy where we will never null root or null route our customers. We can't talk too much about it right now, but in the very near future, we will be talking more about network protection against DDoS attacks, which to enhance the existing capabilities as well. What are the legal implications? Currently, Safe Harbor is very actual. Do you have a contract with LeaseWeb NL? And as a customer, as a Dutch customer, do we comply with EU privacy legislation? Well, we don't hold data, but we can respect data residency regulations and requirements. So we are able to specify points of presence within the EU so that any traffic only flows over this platform within the EU. So the short and very quick answer, Stefan, is that yes, we are able to provide evidence that we can comply to this. Okay. I think there are a couple of other questions, but if it's okay with you today, I'm going to thank you very much for your time. We will try and get some written responses to those questions so you have them as well. But thank you so much for your time today. We hope you're as excited as we are about this solution. Julien Lehmann's email is on the screen right now, but you can also contact your local LeaseWeb sales relationship manager, and he or she will be more than happy to talk over the high-level details of the solution. But Julien and our team at LeaseWeb are here as subject matter experts, and we're here to assist and hopefully get you on board as LeaseWeb security customers in the very near future. Thank you very much, and goodbye.